Stew.wmv falls around the corner, and I'm thinking of comfort foods. And one of my favorite comfort foods is beef and green bean stew. And the ingredients for this stew is about 2 pounds of green beans, a cup and a half of wild rice, about 3 cups of peas, 8 cloves of garlic, chopped into large pieces, 3 pounds of beef, stew beef, 2 potatoes cubed, a large onion and a half of chopped onion, 2 quarts of canned tomatoes, and one bunch of cilantro, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And this recipe is derived from a traditional Middle Eastern recipe, and a lot of times they just use, they don't put in the potatoes or the peas, the rice. It's mainly just the green beans. They don't even make it with beef most of the time. But I like a lot of ingredients, so that's what we're going to do. First, you start by taking your onions and you will cook them on high in olive oil. And you fry the onions until, well, my grandmother described till they look like angel wings. And I don't know what that means. I cook them till they're, I guess, transparent and slightly golden. The onions have been frying for about 3 minutes now. And the next thing that goes in is the green beans. The green beans you want to cook, you want to fry them until they start getting a little bit darker. We use frozen, so they're already a little bit dark, but I would fry them with the onions for about 2 minutes. I'll add salt with the green beans. This helps bring out the flavor. And we always use sea salt. There's no chemical additives, and it's lower in sodium. Now the green beans, which by the way have come from our garden, have been cooking with the onions, frying with the onions for just over 2 minutes. The next ingredient you want to put in is the beef. And you just mix that in. And that gets fried for just a little bit. You brown it just a tiny bit so that the juices are sealed in. Next, the garlic goes in, and that was 8 cloves, and they're in large chunks. This is a Middle Eastern recipe that you don't typically find in a Middle Eastern restaurant. A lot of people eat it over in the Middle East, but you don't find it in the restaurants for some reason. Now after the garlic's gone in, you'll want to throw in the cilantro. And this is the key ingredient. This, to me, is what makes the stew so delicious. And you just mix it in, all the ingredients, as you put them in. Throw that back in there. Next, I throw in the potatoes. mixing as we go. Don't want to burn anything at the bottom, especially if you're a pot that's non-stick. And you can always cut back on the ingredients if you have a smaller pot. This should last us a few days. Now we'll throw in the peas. And I usually don't use peas, but I thought, why not? I like to use lima beans, but right now they're not available for me, so we'll go with peas. Now, the crushed canned or stewed tomatoes. That goes in. And then the cup and a half of wild rice. The wild rice will make it so that it'll take a little longer to cook. You may want to add water as you're cooking it, because the wild rice will start absorbing all the moisture. Now you can tell already that I'm going to want to add some water, so I'll probably put in 2 cups of water. So I'm going to add 2 cups of water. And the ingredient that I had forgot to put in was the 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. You stir that all up, and you bring it to a boil. And once it starts to boil, you reduce the heat to low, and you want to cook this for about 45 minutes or until the rice is tender. And you can add water as needed. And that's how I make my green bean and beef stew. For more recipes, you can go to www.greatnewbody.com.